Okay, we are on Facebook Live. Joe, Adam, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, we're at NAMM 2018 in sunny, beautiful Anaheim, California, and it is lovely. What is it, like 25 degrees in Utah? Something like that? Maybe someone that's watching Facebook Live. Yeah. And here we are.
It's snowing there.
It's snowing.
Is it snowing in Utah?
Yeah. Okay. That's right.
I'm going to get a shot of the room. You can see we're in the piano lounge at NAMM.
Oh, and I think we should get a shot of this. What's this? Joanna, what is this?
It's our MMR 2017 Dealer's Choice Award.
What does that mean?
That means we are winning every single year again and again for being a great piano. No, magnificent piano.
Magnificent piano. So, is this a big deal, Joanna, or is this like...
Amazing. I think it's an amazing deal.
Okay.
Hi, Joe. Joe knows best.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think about this whole piano line of the year thing?
Well, we worked very hard to get it, Brigham, because we listen. Being a piano technician and all that goes along with it.
Brian Spots, do you know him?
Yeah, of course I know Brian. Yeah.
Brian Spots is watching.
Yeah. Okay, we have the world. He is a world record holder. Now, being a world record holder in anything is amazing.
Yes, it is.
And Wade Bricknell. Hi, Wade.
Oh, Wade, my buddy Wade. How's it going? Wade's from South Africa. He's like, he got, it was something like a 1 in a 20,000 chance that he'd get picked by the U.S. immigration, whatever, to get a visa to come live in, or a citizenship, I can't remember. Anyway, and he won it. He moved his family from South Africa.
Says, hey guys.
Hi, Wade.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
but I have to finish telling you about Brian Spots. So Brian Spots is a world record.
Spots says good man.
Oh yeah, right. Brian Spots. Okay, first and foremost, he's an awesome piano player, incredibly creative, fun to play with. But the world record holder, it has nothing to do with pianos. He balances eggs.
What? You're awesome, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, super impressive. So he's actually been like flown around the country. For some reason in Asia, they're big into this. They like these kind of artistic sort of things, where he goes like in public places and malls and things. He balances eggs by the hundreds. Brian, maybe you can respond, or thousands.
Thanks, Greg. I miss jamming with you.
I miss jamming.
Why don't you jam with him and play this
Amazing award-winning piano for Brian. Okay. You can like jam via Facebook Live.
Okay.
Do defense.
This one's for you, Brian.
Oh yeah, you know what? Brian was the guy that. Okay, tell me if you recognize this, Brian. Adam, do you recognize that?
Oh, yeah.
So Brian.
And now we've got Kathy DeLisle is watching and Jen Francis.
Oh yeah, from our startup ignition. Nice, thanks Jen. So Brian, you recognize that? He's got a comment. Hopefully he's still watching.
Jen sounding good.
Okay, thanks Jen. Appreciate it. Awesome. So yeah. So Adam here. So let's get a shot of Basilios. He's maybe he'll be in a Facebook Live a little bit later.
And Ben Cummins. Hi, Ben.
Oh, nice, Ben.
This is Basilios. Brian says nice. It sounds familiar, but I'm dragging a black. It must mean drawing a blank.
Drawing a blank. You're dragging a black? mean?
Drawing a blank. We'll have to catch Basilios later. He's
Okay.
engaged
Yeah,
in important
he's
conversations.
So there's Basilios. Hey, we're doing a Facebook Live, Basilios. How you
you're
doing?
on Facebook. Great,
Yeah,
man.
of course.
Why are your sales down this year, my friend? I want a glass. Free sales book. No,
do you
they're
mean?
up. They're up. They're up.
are you
I'm
talking
kidding.
about?
I'm kidding. You just
Hey,
turned
who's
30.
your number one dealer?
Oh, that's right. It is
Basilios.
Brigham. It is
Come on,
Brigham. That's
there you
right.
go. That's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. You own Utah. You own
Yeah,
Utah.
Young man at 30.
So, how does it feel? 30 plus right now?
30. I'm 30 plus. That's
Jen
right.
Cummins says, sounds awesome as usual.
Oh, as you. Thank you, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
I appreciate it.
No,
Yes.
let me say 2 words first.
Okay.
First of all, happy birthday to Brigham. Brigham is one of our premier dealers. Turned 40 just a couple of days ago. You think he's 18, but he really has lots of experience. His wife looks like 60. What do I tell you?
Thank you, Basilios.
Here we go.
Appreciate it. Let's just stay here all
And
day.
but the remarkable thing about Brigham is that he's a visionary. And I'll say that because about 10 years ago I met him in Las Vegas. He was gambling there with his wife.
I was not gambling.
We were not gambling.
We were not gambling. We were in Las Vegas because that's where the convention was.
That's what he was. He was gambling.
Yeah.
Gambling.
You make it sound like we just happened to be in Las Vegas because we go down there to gamble and you happen to be there. That is not how it happened.
I didn't know what you were doing there.
So I'm
You just
wondering
saw-
where the money's going.
No, the fact was there was a piano technicians convention, and I had the privilege of meeting Carmel and Brigham, and as you can see, we built a wonderful relationship. And Brigham built a piano business from scratch. As a matter of fact, back in the day, you had a small operation of your home, if I recall that right. And Brigham ordered a couple of Hailun instruments, believing. Going past the Chinese name, which was a problem back 10 years ago. People were still afraid of Chinese branded instruments, or there was maybe a little bit.
Yeah, wasn't there a story about someone that said, "What are you going to call it?" Was it you that said we're gonna use the name that they have on it currently, which is the man's name, Mr. Chen. His first name is Hailun, and somebody said, "Oh no, you need a German name."
Right, yeah, it's an amp show.
Yeah, you
right.
need a
Like
German
this-
name,
at
and
this
you
show,
said, "No,
yeah.
that's the guy's name. He's proud of his baby, and we are going to promote it.
Absolutely.
We're going to wear it on our sleeve."
Absolutely. And here we are 10 years
How's
later.
that gone for you, Basilios?
Very well.
Oh, okay.
Very well.
Okay.
I think we didn't do a mistake. People appreciate transparency. People appreciate we work only with people that are technically savvy. Brigham is, of course, probably one of the most competent technicians in the Utah market, in the Utah area, and it has been a wonderful journey. And it took you from being the smallest, or one of the smaller dealers. You were not even a dealer. You had a small little shop to being the biggest store.
my house.
It was your house. It was your house. Yeah, that's right. I came in, and there was pianos in the bathroom. There were living room, hallway. It was in the kitchen.
Everything.
You remember the kids used to. So this is when our kids were little.
Brian Spot says, welcome to the 40s club, brother.
Oh, hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Brian. I guess he's a little bit older than I am, so he's been there for
he's
a
been
few
there.
months apparently. Yeah. Well, when do you turn 40?
I turned 40 next year.
Next year. Wow.
Next year, 4 years ago.
Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, 4 years ago. I'm gonna emphasize that for honest.
And so now also our technicians. Well, okay. So 5 years ago, right? You took generously. You took a group of what? 20 or 30. We went to China. We flew into Beijing.
We flew into Beijing.
To tour the wall,
We did tour the wall,
which was
Chris
amazing.
Lauren just watched us.
Oh, hey Chris.
great. Hi.
Chris.
Thanks for joining us. So we flew into Beijing, toured the wall, and then we flew down to Shanghai.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Where
We were picked up by a bus and went through Shanghai. Well, we went to the factory first and looked at what the factory was doing.
I remember touring Shanghai first, no?
I think
Because didn't we go across the bridge?
Beijing first.
Yeah, it was Beijing,
And then flew down to
and then flew down to Shanghai, where we toured Shanghai. Then didn't we take the 100-mile bridge or whatever?
As far as I remember, we first went to the factory and we ended up in Shanghai on the last evening. That was my memory. You might be right. It was very foggy. It was very. Mr. Chen embellished us with good food and other amenities. So
that was a happy memory. That's a very, very happy memory.
That was a great time.
So anyone that's watching,
says I balanced eggs in Beijing and Shanghai.
okay.
Oh, and you know what?
Okay.
I remember that brought something up. That brought a memory up. So we were actually, I think we were first in Shanghai. Went for dinner.
That's
No,
awesome,
you're right.
Brian.
Because I remember we went down Shanghai. There was a market. We went to a little place, and they had. Do you remember that? They had scorpions there.
Yeah, that's right.
They had
Yeah,
fried
I've got
scorpions.
a picture of Brigham eating
That's
a
right.
scorpion.
And Brigham and your brother was with us as well.
That's right.
Josh was with us.
I think I was wearing a Mao cap.
You were
at the time.
kept the party line. You were certainly.
I didn't want to offend anyone.
No, nobody
Right.
there. And
I
you
kept my
ate
little red
scorpions.
book.
That's right. I was
did
trying
eat some scorpions.
That's right. I was thinking. I hope the dealer survives it because I need him still for Utah. But that was great. It was a great little trip, and it brought together. It really brought together also the dealers that were present there, right? 'Cause
Absolutely.
they talked with each other, created camaraderie, and Mr. Chen graciously invited us. We stayed at nice hotels there, and we toured the factory. Did you like the factory? How was that experience for you at that time?
Did I like the
Did you like the
factory? Basilios. What a silly
I
question.
knew I should have asked. No, it was.
How ridiculous.
Yes,
Of
yeah.
course, the factory was an unbelievable life transforming experience. In fact, I knew based on so you mentioned a couple minutes ago that when I came on with Hailun, that was 2010 when we first
That's right.
met.
Yeah.
I played the piano. I had read about Hailun. I had heard about it. It was kind of the buzz of the industry at the time. Apparently, it still is.
Well, we I don't know. We did it again. Yeah, we just won
The
again.
buzz of the
here.
industry.
again.
The Piano Line of the Year award for all the models across all model section. We received that just a couple of days ago, or yesterday. Yesterday, right? Yesterday we received it, and that just this is the fifth one, by the way, with one unit having been introduced in the Hall of Fame. Did you know that?
Which unit?
The 178 has been introduced in the
doesn't
Hall of
surprise
Fame.
me.
Let's
So,
have Brigham play that.
well, it's
You have
sold.
one
It's
here?
gone
Oh,
and
it's
sold.
sold
So
it.
I'm sorry. It's,
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. You know, the second day of the NAMM show, and already it's sold. See, I have that same problem at my store. I'm out of 178s. Right?
out of 178, it's not a good thing.
That
You
is
need to
not a
talk
good
to the
thing.
distributor.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. Anyway, so
Brian Spot says scorpions taste better than grasshoppers. I
yeah,
thought we were supposed to be talking about piano.
yeah. Come on, Brian. Stay on topic, man.
How are you Scottish?
So anyway,
See, you used to be sour.
while he's talking.
I'll talk to the little. Yeah.
So what happened is, I was reading about Hailun. It was the buzz of the industry. People were saying, okay, now here's a piano for the first time that's manufactured in China that is actually really, really good. Not just respectable, but something pretty outstanding. And so I was reading about it. This was in 2010. I met Basilios. I was actually kind of looking at a number of pianos, doing my research. And when I met Basilios, tried a piano, I bought one. I thought, okay, maybe they souped all these pianos up to impress all the piano technicians.
That's what you usually do, right? You come to the
Right.
NAMM show and you like super prep them. You put different parts in it, kind of to fake it. Many guys
Yeah.
do that, right?
Sure.
It's
Sure.
that true?
And I thought, okay, maybe that's what was going on here, because what I saw at the show was very, very impressive. It was unlike any other Chinese piano that I had ever played. Frankly, it was up there with any of the, I mean, you name it, any of the Western pianos, the European pianos. It's right up there as from a quality standpoint. And I thought, okay, this can't be legitimate, but you know, look at this face.
Give
Look
it
at
a
this
try.
face.
Would
you trust- Would you trust
Whoa,
this
that's
face?
close.
And look at this guy. There's Basilios' son Adam.
Hey.
He's got
Hey, Adam.
man, that same trustworthy face. Anyway,
So you got to play something
So,
for us.
I
When
just
you're done
did.
with your story.
oh okay, all right.
Yeah, but that
so
was like so long ago now.
so that was so long ago, right? So I bought it.
Brian says, sorry, you started it. I really like the clear sound of the low strings on Hailun pianos. Can you play something that he's typing? So he's requesting your playing.
Oh, we've got to
let's
request
do
I
that.
guess
Let's
they
do
want
that.
more
Okay.
playing, less talking.
Well then,
Sorry,
all right.
Your audience.
Okay, so
Relentless conversation
as soon as
over
Brian tells us what he
Can you
wants to
play
hear.
something that dot dot dot. Okay,
Okay, so
finish your story.
So I bought that piano, took it home in my living room. I took it apart, took the keys out, kind of inspected things, looked everything over. By this time, I'd been working on pianos for 15 years, so I really knew what I was talking about. I really
had a
knew
little
what
experience
I had
already.
some experience already. I put it back together. Remember, this is my living room. I remember Carmel was cooking dinner. I looked around kind of peeked around the little divider between the living room and the kitchen, and I said, Carmel, I can't tell people how good these pianos are because they'll think that I'm exaggerating. They'll think that I'm trying to promote something that doesn't necessarily even deserve this kind of praise. And she's like, well, tell them and see what happens.
And we have been.
Long story, we have been.
You have been very successful and very
Well, they
grateful.
triumph for themselves and they love
But
it.
you know what? It's not that these pianos though, they sell themselves. People come into the store, and it's not like because of my sales pitch or because of charm and charisma that I'm convincing people to do something that is against their will. It's the piano itself.
True. But I would think that your ability to discern and explain things technically, because if we look at the piano, it's not that the Hailun is fundamentally different in many ways from others. Just one indicator here. The lid that can be opened with one finger. There's many other things like that in the piano that nobody else has, that we thought up, and we're sharing that with some other manufacturers, or with the HU5. Using a metal keypad, an aluminum keypad. Nobody else does that.
There you go. Look at this guy.
There's,
Can you see it?
sorry,
We gotta get his face. See
His face.
so there's. I mean, it's not just
As
a
good
pitch
as the
that
pianos.
we were.
Just trust this face.
You know, you either like it or you don't like it, but it's different, and it turned out good, and customers are happy all across the world.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? I love these features, everything that you're talking about, and I do mention them to people that care about the. Like the aluminum keypad, right? The keypad is essentially the foundation of everything as far as the action.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, like in a house, if you have a crack in the foundation, the issue ripples throughout
Everything
the
else.
entire home,
Yeah.
and you can see the issue in the attic if there's a crack in the foundation. So with an aluminum keypad, right, you've got a firm foundation, a solid foundation that will not move.
The action
At
stays
all.
crisp, stays
right.
geometrically in place. It's a good thing. But you said something that I think is important. These things don't matter. Ultimately
Ultimately not.
what matters is play that bass, play that treble, listen and hear, and delve into the music, delve into the sound, and see if the piano is talking to you.
That's right.
Because a great piano, regardless of price, but a great piano talks to you back.
Yes.
Right?
So okay, let me address that.
And then after this, Larry Lobel is on.
Oh, Larry.
And
Hey.
why don't Brian never
Larry's a great
commented on
technician.
his
He's the
request, but
Palo Alto University. He's the university technician. He has
Hi,
the
Larry.
luxury of working on like ultra high end pianos all day long.
Okay.
and then Brian Spots wanted something played on the low bass. So
Oh yeah. Well,
we
let's
need
do both.
Let's do
Is
low
there a
bass.
218 here?
we
That's
have a
my favorite
198.
bass. A 198. Play that one and give us some low
Yeah, why
bass.
don't you have a 218 to sell you?
Already sold. You're gonna play
Okay.
it here on the upright.
Okay, I hope this comes across. Yeah, I'll play in the upright, then I'll go
All
over
right,
to
Brian.
the
We
198.
didn't see your request, so Brigham's just gonna give you some bass.
And this is what I was talking about. When people come into the store, and I agree with you, Brian. The low bass is very important to me. That's a big deal for me, and this piano's got it. This is only a 50-inch piano, but it really has that masculine power that I go for. And that's not to say that you can't play delicately. You certainly can. Well, I can't. I'm not much of a
These are
delicate
jazz,
player.
These are jazz hands,
That's right.
not delicate hands.
These are jazz hands. That's right.
Jazz hands.
That's what
You're
you're.
always louder than me.
So Brian and I used to jam a lot. Freshman year at BYU, you are in for a treat, man. When you get to BYU, BYU is an awesome place. You get to meet guys like Brian Spots and hang out and play music and stuff. You know. Anyway, okay, so
That was some
awesome
good jamming,
piano.
Joe.
And that's just a little upright.
Cut
That's
it
just
at
a
the
little.
very end. We'll do the whole thing through the next time you come through.
Okay, that sounds good. So
Well, let's try the grand as well, right?
Sure.
We'll take a look at that.
sure.
See if Brian likes that bass better.
Okay, so this is one of their so grand pianos. There are five grand pianos that they manufacture.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, there's
We're on
the
Facebook Live.
218.
Say hello.
Hello.
That's Paul Ray.
Oh, there's Paul. Hey, Brigham, Paul. Guess what? What? So I had a customer, a guy named Marv Gardner. He's actually so the LDS hymn book was put together, was compiled. It's recompiled every few decades. The last time it was done was in 1985, and so this he was on the committee that put together the hymn book. So he's essentially spent his entire life in music, and he's very passionate. He hears things that normal human beings do not hear. Anyway, so that was the customer that I was calling you, a couple weeks ago. I just got a text from him this morning reporting the results. So what happened is this guy, he has a Hailun, he actually has a Vienna series Hailun. He has the 168. And he was complaining about one note. He said everything is pristine and perfect and wonderful to play, except this one note. It's the E flat below little c. And I tried a number of things. I worked on it, and I tried voicing it. I tried changing the regulation, trying to figure out. I tried maybe it was extraneous noise coming from the rear duplex, all sorts of issues that I tried resolving. None of it worked. Finally, I called this man, Paul Ray,
The expert,
the
icon.
the man. Paul, by the way, he's lived in China quite a bit. I don't think you are currently, but he's lived in China for Basilios, picking out pianos, hand selecting every unit that goes into the container. So Basilios doesn't just buy it automatically from Mr. Chen, just because it says Hailun on it. But he has guys like Paul that hand select every single one that goes on the container, and just picks Paul or guys like him pick the cream of the crop.
Right, yeah, we choose a product that comes because there's just a higher expectation level, and there's different parts in some of our instruments that make a difference to us.
Sure. So anyway, the result, he just texted me this morning saying, perfect. So the solution, honestly, it sounded too simple, and I was skeptical that it was going to work. But I did just what Paul said, and I apparently, as of this morning, satisfied a very, very picky guy. So, nice job. Thank you. And there's Jack. We got to get Jack in here.
And then you
Jack
gotta
is.
play some more for us,
I'll
too.
play a little more.
Hi, Jack.
How's it going, Jack?
We're on Facebook Live. So say hello to everyone.
So if any of the people watching, if you've seen any of my videos from back when I toured the Hailun factory in 2013, let me get over by Jack. So you'd recognize Jack. Jack is my eating buddy. He's my eating buddy, my factory buddy. We toured Shanghai and Ningbo together. Beijing. And you were in Beijing also.
Yes, I'm also in Beijing.
You flew up. That's right. You flew up to Beijing.
Yes.
What does Jack do in the factory?
What do you do in the factory, Jack?
I'm a sales manager for overseas market, and also a little bit of after service, and also the technician R&D.
R&D.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk about anything new coming out of the factory? That's anything that's an R&D currently?
It's not secret.
It's not secret.
Anything that's not secret?
We have shown the intelligent pianos here.
Intelligent pianos? What's that mean?
It can,
Intelligent? Like AI? Artificial
oh
intelligence?
no, it
not
cannot
that
be
smart?
like that.
One thing that I'd like to talk about is we're going to change so that Brigham mentioned the Vienna line, which Mr. Gardner purchased recently. And the Vienna line was the precursor to what will be the Emerson piano line. And we have one Emerson right here. And one change we're implementing is we're introducing Bolduc. These are Canadian pin blocks that are very different from the ones we're using right now.
Il est français, lui.
Je vrai, il est français, il est québécois.
Il est québécois. Il parle français.
Il parle français un petit peu, mais
Now they're just showing off.
on parle avec lui.
Andre Bolduc is a Québécois piano technician that I've known about as a technician really since about 2000 when I first started attending.
Somebody just gave you a thumbs up. Goes
Oh,
across the
nice.
front.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. Someone else apparently knows Andre Bolduc. He's actually really well known in piano technician circles, probably really internationally, as he provides.
Sandy Essery Rodi. She says,
Oh yeah,
I
of
love
course.
this.
Okay.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy. She's a PTG lady.
Awesome.
So Bolduc, of course,
She should be here with us.
she should be here.
Well, she is here. She is here with us. We should go to the PTG booth next.
Right over
There's a
there.
PTG. That's Piano Technicians Guild.
So Andre Bolduc is very well known for his products. I think he has a forest, like he owns an entire forest.
That's right. Yeah, he has like land behind him, has
Sandy
access to
says
wood.
hi.
Hey, Sandy.
And he has been a great piano builder, rebuilder of pianos, and provides these pin blocks to several manufacturers. I don't think I would be mismentioning them. So he provides them to Steinway in New York. He provides them to Fazioli. He provides them to Sauter, and he provides them to Petrov. And we are introducing the Emerson line, or upgrading the Emerson line, and we'll be using the same pin block there as well, so that a customer can essentially purchase a high-end instrument at a partial part of the cost and have all the components that are vital, great design of the instrument. We're excited about that. So one little thing that we can talk about
Well,
is
you
coming
should
to the
be.
market. Yeah,
That's a good club to be in. Those
Yeah.
names you just listed up.
it is.
Yeah.
But it's not about the parts, and I'm going to say that again and again and again. As in sales or in the company, we train our salespeople, we train our dealers, our salespeople in the field. We give them all these parts that are made here and there, and all these features. But the reality is, Brigham, it's not the parts that make the piano. It's bringing it together. It's the workmanship, the design, the attention, the care. You can have all the parts. You can have a Frankenstein piano with all the greatest parts. It's not the greatest.
Sure.
So it's that balance, and I think that's what we have been able to catch often enough. And for
Jack,
that,
how
I'm
did you
grateful.
do it?
Larry Lobel says, thanks for the plug, Brig. Don't tell anyone we're cousins.
I won't tell anyone that we're cousins, Larry.
And
Don't worry.
Steve Osler is watching. Hi,
Oh,
Steve.
Steve was my piano mover for a long, long time. Now the poor guy is, he's almost 70.
Oh,
No, I think he's about
He's moved
75.
enough
That's when
pianos
life starts.
And I
for
think,
life.
he's, I think he's moved enough pianos,
Good to see you on Facebook, Steve.
and we're going to give, yeah.
that's where life starts. 75.
He has-
That's where life begins.
He has given his back to the piano industry. I salute you, Steve.
He can still get out of bed?
Yeah. So Jack, tell me how you did it. How did you take, right? Because what Basilios was just saying is that it would be oversimplifying it to just say that a piano is simply a sum of its parts, right? It's not just you take this pin block, you take these strings, you take this action, and throw it together, and you got a great piano just because the parts are great. That doesn't work.
Of course, it's the number. The piano is like 10,000 pieces together. It must be difficult, like a car. Why the Mercedes-Benz was so great? Also, inside, it's not only the parts is good. Of everything is good. You have to do it everything must be very precise and accurate. Because in our factory we have a lot of CNC machines. All these parts is milling and all.
Super precision CNC machines. Yeah.
Yes, it must be do like in this way. And also it must have a very good design. It's important.
Okay, talk about the design of talk about the design of The 178, okay? So the 178, is that your best-selling piano? That's the best by far. It is for me too.
Yeah, it's from Frank Emerson.
Frank Emerson, okay?
He's a very good designer.
Frank is not here, but let's see a couple of things about Frank. You know, first of all, Frank, if you can see this, we salute you from the NAMM show. Frank is one of the most gentlest people there is.
Yes, he is.
Unpretentious. I mean, if you would meet him, you would know the capacity he has. But he's one, I cannot cuss, but I would say it, one hell of a designer of pianos. So please edit that out if you can. But
he's very what's the word? He doesn't have an ego.
He does not. No,
presupposing. I can't remember what.
He should have an ego.
He should have an ego. In fact,
we all have an ego for
I
him.
invited him to Utah to do a Q&A with my technicians. And he said, I don't know what I can tell them. I don't know what I can teach them.
That's vintage Frank Emerson.
Yeah, isn't that typical Frank?
So Frank Emerson used to be the chief engineer for Baldwin in the golden years. He then worked for many years for Mason Hamlin. And then he came to Hailun, worked for 10 years for Hailun, worked on almost all instruments. Some completely are his signature. The 198 is a Frank Emerson, in every bit of the DNA is a Frank Emerson. Others have parts of his know-how. As Brigham shared, he had no ego in terms of he would be open to the best ideas and incorporate them. The 178 is his signature piano as well. We've done amazingly well. No other piano sells as good, and I think is one of the preeminent ones. And the 178 is one in the Hall of Fame, by the way. Yeah. So that was that.
Michael New Jr. is now watching.
Oh yeah, nice.
Hi, Michael.
Mike just bought a 7P.
Oh, 7P.
Just barely last month, and I'm still waiting, Vasilios. So Mike, if you're waiting for your piano, this guy is the man to. Let me give you his cell phone.
Here we go. It will be in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks. How many times have I heard that?
Landed.
2 weeks.
Landed 2 weeks, and it takes a little bit more time to work itself to Brigham.
Okay, so Mike, I'm only as fast as this guy.
That's true. Yeah.
That guy right there. Yeah, and this guy and this guy right here. Right.
So if we're talking about that HU7, then we're talking about the second week in February to the States, or about the second week of February, and then probably a week or two till it comes to you. I'm putting more days in.
I'm anxious. Not as anxious as Mike, though, I'm sure.
But
Mike, it's coming. It's coming, I promise.
I'm going to come back to that part. So you have to have a great recipe, and Hailun did something completely different than the others. So most manufacturers here, I shouldn't say most.
Just got another thumbs up. Like your video.
Nice.
Many manufacturers, especially in China, and sometimes also in Asia, in Japan from some time, would take know-how and copied one-to-one. That's how the way they learn. Hailun didn't do that. Hailun hired the best designers, the folks that had done great things.
Wait, back up. I don't follow completely what you mean when you say they copied it one-to-one. Explain that a little bit.
Well, for instance, they're on this floor here, right, with the NAMM show, this is the third floor here, all makers that are essentially showing off here in the United States their products. If you go to this side, there's companies that have piano frames that are a complete Steinway copy. I mean, identical. You could, point that one by one. If you go into this,
you're talking about dimensions, scaling,
scale design.
Essentially, reverse engineered it.
Christine Yates just gave us some love.
Oh, thanks, Christine.
Hi, Christine. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so what's wrong with reverse engineering? I mean, Steinway,
Amy
right?
Bastian is on.
Oh, hey, Amy. Amy's a Steinway B owner. So okay.
How do you know that? You just remember people's piano?
I don't know. So
Funny.
I know people buy their piano.
Christine Yates says, "Love you guys."
Oh, great.
Thanks, Christine.
So
we love you too.
okay, if a Steinway B, for example, has such a great reputation, this is a piano that sells for $90,000, $100,000, right?
Yeah.
Brand new. This is a very expensive, super high-end piano that has a great reputation. What's wrong with taking that piano and completely reverse engineering? I mean, why can't you just reverse engineer it and then and have everything that's absolutely identical to a Steinway B, but rather than selling it for $90,000 or $100,000, sell it for a fraction of that? What's wrong with doing
I
that?
mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing wrong if you learn from it and if you would add something to it, and it's a good way to enter. But the problem is that if you do that, you don't learn. You don't bring know-how into your own factory. You're kind of like, okay, you're just copying. Like, let me ask you this: what makes if I look at a Rembrandt picture and I studied how it's been done, I can copy that actually. If I'm a good artist, I can copy. I still have to be a good artist,
Sure.
but I'm no Rembrandt.
Steve Bluth is
right?
on now.
Oh, Steve Bluth, my bishop from my youth.
Bishop Bluth from your youth. And Christine Yates says, "You're so smart." And there's loves flying across the screen.
Loves flying across the screen.
So,
Thanks, Christine.
a great artist can take a Rembrandt picture and can redo it. And so
Yeah.
those copies are often very good. I'm not going to deny that. Absolutely not. But it's not a Rembrandt picture.
Right.
And so Hailun went about it and said, we're going to do our own Rembrandt picture. We're going to do our own Michelangelo, if you will. We'll not copy, we'll try it. And so we brought in people that were artists, that were geniuses in their own right.
And that's the designer. That's
Those are
Frank
the
Emerson, the designer,
That's right.
for example.
And there's
Or Polello.
Oh, Polello.
Stephen Polello.
Great.
Yeah.
And there's two sides to this process. One side is the designer sits down in the chamber, right? He starts making the scales. He knows what does what. It's not a hard science. You have to have experience. Lots of it is in the fingers, in the knowledge, what you've done before. And then you come up with a design, okay? But it doesn't stop there. Then the designer, it's crucial that he stay on board and watch the product be implemented, because it's how you cut the wood, how you assemble it, when, how long you wait.
Totally.
And so many companies, there's
As
other
a piano rebuilder, so I don't manufacture pianos,
Right.
but I rebuild them,
Yeah.
which is there is some manufacturing involved.
Sure,
there, a lot of
absolutely.
the same principles.
Absolutely.
And it's not like you can just wind up the top and let it go and expect that just because we're going to duplicate, it's going to turn out
No,
perfectly.
absolutely.
This is something that you have to every single step. Okay, so
Well,
I'm agreeing
exactly.
with you.
And I think when you rebuild them,
Yeah.
you're in the same process, because you use wood, you have to engineer, you have to check things. But there's other folks on this floor, and I'm not gonna, that have done that. They have brought in a designer. He's done a great design. He's done, impeccable design. He gives it to the production department, and there's just a seizure. There's just a session there, a breakage, a rupture, if you will, of know-how. So suddenly they come up with a piano that would, on the paper, be great, but it doesn't perform. And we had the luck that our folks, Frank Emerson, stayed on for 10 years. He produced it, he saw it, he babied the piano to maturity. And so did Stephen Polello. And the moment his contract was up, Steinway hired him away from us. And so, that was kind of a cherry on top of it for him.
Sure.
And he redesigned some of the Steinway line, which was great too. But it's not just the design, it's shepherding, if you will, the piano to maturity. And the other part that happens in that is that you have an American, a French, a German, an Austrian designer at the factory 5 months out of the year, 7 months out of the year, with Peter Valetsky 10 months out of the year. And there's something happening. It rubs
So
off.
Peter Valetsky is the Austrian.
Peter is the
We've
Austrian
got
guy.
Stephen Polello is the French guy. We've got Frank that lives in Florida.
Frank Emerson is home right now, retired in Florida right now.
Retired in Florida.
And then we have a couple of other ones that came from Germany, some from Italy, that were not big names, but they knew about voicing, they knew how to do hammers, they knew about felt.
So this is the brains behind the operation.
This is the brains, and I think these guys brought the product to fruition. And what I was saying is, rubbing shoulders with them on the production line, being on the table, you learn what's important. Jack is one of the supervisors there, but there's of course the heads of departments. They learn. What would you choose? Why do you put it this way? Why the glue has to wait?
Yeah.
And these details cannot be enumerated. You cannot write a book about it. You have to learn them live. And I think that's why you got the recipe right. So it's like, for those who love to cook, you can have all the ingredients, but if you don't know how to put them together right, it won't turn out.
So let me tell you a quick story about Stephen Polello. So Carmel and I were in Paris a couple years ago, and so of course we had to go look up. Stephen Polello. We went to his. He's about halfway between Lens and Paris. He's got a workshop in kind of this wooded area, just kind of a magical, beautiful little kind of woodland area where he's got a workshop. Anyway, so I sat down and played his. I think he called it like his opus number one. This was the very first piano that he built completely from scratch. I mean, the plate, right? That's a major obstacle to manufacturing your own piano. He designed all of that. He imported. He had one built in, I think, in Vienna. I think there's a foundry in Vienna. He had it shipped to Paris, where he put this piano together. Anyway, so I sat down and played this piano. And Carmel, how would you describe my reaction when I played that Paulo?
Shock and awe and dumbfoundedness and complete enamored joy.
Shock and awe and dumbfoundedness and enamored joy.
Wow.
Okay.
And his first question was, with his jaw hanging down in his lap, he said, "How did you do it?"
How did you do this?
He was like in shock.
Stephen Polino is one of the grand magicians.
This guy is a magician.
When it comes to piano design and piano building.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This guy is unbelievable. He and Frank are absolute geniuses. Anyway, so whenever anyone asks me, "What's your very favorite piano?" my first question is always, "Is money an object or no?" And they'll say, "Well, tell me, first tell me your favorite piano." Money is no object. Money is no object. And I do not say, some of the names that people would necessarily be familiar with. Those are, Steinway and other pianos like that. They're very, very nice pianos. I've got great respect. I've worked on hundreds, if not thousands, of Steinway pianos. I have the utmost respect for them. But my very favorite piano that I've ever played in the world was that piano in Stephen Palello's shop. Unbelievable.
Amazing, huh?
One day, Basilios,
We'll go.
thousands of years from now, when our earthly experience is but a memory,
Far away memory.
inhabitants of heaven, hopefully. Well, I will be. I don't know where you'll be.
I'm trying.
We're going to sit down at our Polello piano
All right.
because that's where they belong.
So here we go. Hey, I'll try to make it. I'll cover up for you. But
Okay.
at the big judgment day, I'll tell you. I didn't see this and this.
Yeah. And then, sorry. Then I ask, okay, now money is an object because obviously these Stephen Palello pianos are he only is able to manufacture one a year. I don't know if he's ramped it up at all since then, but obviously they're very prohibitively expensive. Favorite for the money is Hailun, because the way what we've been talking about here the last few minutes, the way I would describe what Hailun has done is they've essentially married what the East does best with what the West does best.
True, yeah, absolutely.
So we've got these designers like Stephen Palello and Frank Emerson and Peter Valetsky and some of these others who are absolutely brilliant designers. They've done the blueprints. They've done all of the intellectual work. They've determined the types of materials. They've determined the overall philosophy of the touch, the overall philosophy of the tone. How will it bloom? How will it develop? What are we looking for in the bass? All of these thousands of little critical elements that go into the intellectual, visionary. Everything is created spiritually before it's created temporally.
You could say that, of course. Yeah, you could say that very much so.
You could say that, and that's what these Western guys do.
True.
And in the East, they create it temporally, right?
Well, they try to.
They try.
And there's something else I'd like to point out in this discussion, and Hailun brought that to the table, beginning. The Asian sound, the Asian piano, and I'm not afraid to say Yamaha and Kawai, which were representative of the Asian tradition of music, was very high pitched and very thin sound.
Sure.
And for many decades, pianos coming from China had the same sound philosophy. They were very narrow, high pitched. Sometimes jazz musicians liked it because they could go out. Hailun was the first to step out of that part, and we said we want a European, a Viennese sound, a soft sound, a round sound, and we did that. People thought crazy, this doesn't sound like a
Viennese sound. Oh, wait, where are you from?
Happened to be from Vienna. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay,
right,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
And so we have. That's right. It is a good birthright. And so with Hailun, you have an instrument that is warmer, that is.
We're on Facebook Live. Brigham, you should introduce Larry.
Right. Yeah, but, and we're slowly getting to a point where the industry is recognizing that even piano buyers trying to get on top of that. Hi, Larry. This is Larry Pine here behind just. but it's a struggle. It's a struggle. The old. No, but that's true. That's part of the industry that we build. And interestingly enough, Brigham, many of the makers, including the Japanese, have followed us and have started to go
To build that
warm sound.
rounder,
That's
bigger
right.
sound.
We came to the market 2004, 2005. Yamaha bought Bösendorfer in 2006, and the sound moved to a warmer, rounder sound.
More that
Very
European
interesting.
Viennese sound.
Absolutely. So if you buy a Bahiana today, you could find much more round versus 2000, 1999, 1998, 80s, where it was much brighter.
Much brighter,
and
thinner
yeah,
tone.
absolutely. Different change in the industry.
Projection is still great, but it doesn't have that rich one. Should we hear that?
Oh, let's listen to it, my
hear
friend. Let's listen to it.
Well, so this piano is 6.5 feet. It's I think it's 6'5". I believe.
That's
It's
a 6'5", a 198.
So
this is a Frank Emerson solo piano, right? Pure. There's just
Like
his
you
design.
said, just
His
Frank DNA.
Yeah, Frank DNA.
So we've got a very rich bass, and that's what Basilios is talking about here. We've got that nice rich.
Any of our viewers want to make a request, we take a request. What do you want to hear from our human jukebox? That's what Alex Boyer calls Brigham, is the human jukebox. Oh, we got dinner and a show. We got dancing.
Brigham plays, people start dancing.
So what my experience is in the showroom.
Yeah.
That was just a teaser.
Oh yeah, just a little teaser.
We need more music. If you want Brigham to play something, give us a request.
I find. Well, I'm not exactly a human jukebox, like you were saying a minute ago.
Yeah, you are.
So what I find is that so early on, right?
Alan Johnson just joined us.
Oh, Alan Johnson,
Yeah,
welcome.
Alan, if you've got a request, I'm testing Brigham's human jukebox
No.
skills.
It's my wife.
That's my life. I'll
So-
get in trouble later.
What I find is that when people come in, early on, right? When I'd get a customer in the store, I didn't want to let them go, right? I wanted to be sure that I was able to customize their experience in my store as well as I could.
Right.
I wanted to keep control, make sure that everything was absolutely perfect.
Chuck Green just joined
Oh,
us.
Chuck
Hi, Chuck.
Green. So I met Chuck Green in 1994. He was in my sister's mission in Paris.
Oh, there we go.
And so, and actually, we knew some of the same people when I was in Paris. So, I wanted to control every aspect
presentation,
of
sure.
their right. And there was always that thought in my mind. The first few years, this was like 2010, 2011, maybe. There was always the thought in my mind. Now, am I having maybe some undue influence on all of these Hailuns that I've sold? Have I influenced these people to make this purchase
Based on your salesmanship and
through
the presentation.
through salesmanship, presentation, through controlling this experience? And what I learned within the next few years, as I had less and less time to focus on individual customers. I mean, I still try to do that as much as I can. I want everybody obviously to have as positive experience as I can, but I can't be everywhere anymore. And we have so many customers coming in our store that I simply can't do it. And you know what's happened? Sales of Hailun pianos have not just stayed steady, but they've even increased. So maybe my salesmanship actually had a deleterious effect. I had a negative effect. Anyway,
I will say two stories for those who are listening. I don't know how many are piano industry members or interested in that stuff, but we have seen an increase
Hey,
of...
Scott Gibson is watching.
oh Scott,
Hi,
great.
Scott. It's like
So
he's
you're
here
gonna
with us at NAMM.
Yeah, great. Glad you're here, Scott.
So
Hey, wait, isn't Scott supposed to be
Wait,
working right
Scott,
now?
you're supposed to be working on that bush and lane.
job, Scott, joining us. This is way more important than whatever piano work you're doing right now.
Absolutely. So we have suddenly dealers that don't carry a Hailun carry one instrument on their floor. So they'll buy a used one that they can find and put it on the floor and detune it. And then when the customer comes in, they'll say, well, we have this brand and this brand, and we have also a Hailun. And we'll try the Hailun first. They try the Hailun. It sounds terrible. And then the customer comes to one of our Hailun dealers and, oh, I don't want a Hailun. What else do you have? Because they have already negative experience. For us, that's the biggest compliment, right? The biggest compliment because we know that they're taking more care and are concerned about that.
No, it's a threat.
That's a threat. The bigger compliment that we have received just about a month ago was in a major metropolitan area. One of the dominant brands worldwide came in to find a new dealer. They have no dealer in that huge metropolitan area, and you know the name. They could not find somebody. They were looking at anybody and offered our dealer the ticket to that brand. It's a brand that has probably the strongest name recognition in the industry. All over the world, it's an Asian brand. And the dealer chose Hailun. And this has never happened before. You know, we were always a tier 2. Okay, great, I want this brand. From the merchant's perspective, it's like having, do you want to sell, I don't know, Mercedes-Benz, or do you want to say Kia, right? That was always the mindset. But right now, the situation is that Mercedes-Benz is competing with Hailun, and we're pretty proud of that.
Absolutely.
And it's a shift in the industry, and it shows in our sales and just the way we're acting and presenting ourselves.
Well, and it's the pianos themselves.
True.
That speak for themselves. People sit down in the showroom, and this happens all the time now, where people will sit down without any sort of introduction to those things that you're saying about how the name is rising, more and more recognition, and they'll sit down and they'll play all of the pianos in my showroom without any sort of introduction. I'll be in the back working, and then I'll come in and I'll say, oh, and I'll introduce myself. How long have you been here? Say, I've been here for 45 minutes. I've been playing all your, oh, well, I'm sorry, good to meet you. And then I say, what do you like? And invariably, they say, I really like this one. Now, how do you say that? Hailun? How do you say that? Oh, Hailun. I like this one. Well, let me tell you about it. Without any sort of introduction. It's the piano that speaks for itself.
And we feel pretty confident that we'll continue that strength. I want to show you something else.
Sure, let's go look. Okay.
So,
What are we going to see here?
So this is an iPiano 1, a Hailun iPiano 1 that incorporates...
Tom Pittman just joined us.
Oh, hey, Tom. Welcome. I hope you get that dog issue resolved. Figure out what's going on in your backyard there.
We saw that today, Tom.
So
Welcome to
this has a
Facebook
silent
Live.
mute system inside. And as you can play it, or you can switch and put earphones on. You see the switch down here? Go. And it's connected to earphones. Nice ones.
So this is converting an acoustic to a digital.
To a silent piano that you can play any day of any time of the day.
So only Brigham can hear this.
That's right.
Yep. I'm hearing it.
And can you do it with the iPad?
Well, the next thing is that it has a Bluetooth integrated into the piano, and we have an app that's Hailun specific that allows you to share your music, record music, upload it into the cloud, practice with the teacher far away, get practice songs. The teacher can see how you play and what you played and get feedback.
That has Bluetooth?
And connects to the internet.
Okay, explain that again. Say that
All right,
again.
so you could...
Use piano marble with these.
So you come here, you connect the piano, you can check, for instance...
Wow, that just lit up.
You have
What's
information
that?
here. You can choose to have that information here.
What
It
is
shows you the strength of how strong you hit the keys. It later shows you also if you hit the right notes. You can turn it off or on depending. For people who really start out, it's helpful to understand where the keys are. When you get a little more
That's
serious, you
cool.
turn it off. And for instance, you can practice here. Oh, let me show you. You can.
So, what are these numbers connected to?
These are
you've got those like the one piano.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh wow! Look
You-
at that. And that's all connected to the app for different
That's right.
different activities.
You can change the little colors that you want. You can change the left hand to make it, let's say, green, and the
Does
right
it work
hand
with other apps or specific to the Hailun?
specific to the Hailun.
Just this one app
This one app, yeah,
runs all of
runs
this.
all of this, yeah. And then you can practice. You can choose advanced setting, medium setting, or
So it's mostly an educational app?
Well-
Would it be for also advanced players?
it would be for starters to medium level players. Because you can practice your performance, you can practice repetition, you can be staying on beat. There's different modes inside, and it provides an opportunity to go far without any help, or with help being somewhere away. So our idea behind that is not to replace the teacher. I'm going to say that very clearly. It's not to replace the teacher. Our idea with that is what we call Bob. We want to make sure Bob is happening, and
Bob is happening?
Bob
Is
is
that an acronym?
happening. That's an acronym. It's butt on bench. We want to encourage
Butt on
kids
bench, okay.
to be sitting here and
Are we
playing
having a
with
lot
it.
of Bob?
And so that's the goal behind it. We want to have kids be in a medium that they enjoy, interact in a way that they enjoy, and learn the piano and bring them to it. And I think that this is a transition or direction that the industry will go more and more. So the iPiano will be leading the way for Hailun.
You call this the iPiano?
The iPiano.
Okay.
And that's the iPiano 1.
Cool.
That's
All
great.
right.
So
Well-
the journey goes on.
Yeah, the journey goes absolutely. Well, thanks for doing our Facebook Live with us.
Hey.
Appreciate it, Basilios.
Thanks for good
Thanks,
sales.
Tom.
Thanks for an amazing 2017.
Oh, wow. Thanks for amazing pianos. It's been fun. Let's keep it going.
Hey, absolutely.
And let's meet in Greece again.
That's right.